We're going to read the chapter called Wings. Journal entry October 15th. Rini's social reality overwhelms mine. She takes the question of Tico's rights out of the narrow boundaries I've drawn and insists we consider quite simply the way people are. Some friends are generous to those who fly off in other directions, and some feel deeply offended. On the other hand, certain individuals are more sensitive to the feelings of the group, finding ways to give away some of their golden feathers, or perhaps to include their friends more often in their flights of fancy. Even so, I would like to ask Leo Leone why the others needed Tico to be exactly as they are, which to say he has written it this way. It seems to me that Tico does not represent the author's personal choices, for how could he have written a single book had he worried about conforming to group standards? All of the above is hastily entered into my journal after school. Then a sudden desire to examine other Leo Leone books sends me rushing to the library before its doors are opened. I pull out the Leo Leone books and pile them on the nearest table. There are at least a dozen, including Frederick and Tico. Passing over the familiar ones, I begin to read Cornelius and experience a shudder of anticipation. He has some mysterious has some mysterious force directed me to this book? It is as if Leone has rewritten Tico's script just to soothe my troubled feelings. Cornelius submits to no one. He is a crocodile who emerges from his egg, walking upright while the others creep along the ground in ordinary reptile fashion. I can see the fish from above, Cornelius said. So what? Said the others, annoyed. To each discovery announced by Cornelius, there is resistance and denial from the community. What's so good about that? Tico would have dropped down and apologized for his presumption, but not Cornelius. He'll neither capitulate nor compromise, leaving the group rather than accommodate to their jealousy. And so one day, Cornelius angrily decided to walk away. What an independent individual. He is not going to worry about being lonely, come what may. What is the author's purpose in curbing one hero in order for that character to placate the crowd while propelling at least two others forward? Glancing over the books on the table, I try to recall their characters and plots. In each, it seems, there is a struggle between self and community. The conflict is acted out in a dozen different ways. Who do I feel most like, the reader is prompted to ask? A Tico, a Frederick, or a Cornelius, or one of the other heroes in the collection? And how will my friends react to the choices I make? This conundrum, which haunts me at faculty meetings and is dramatized daily in every classroom, seems to be Leo Leone's central theme. If only we could reach into the mind of this mysteriously provocative writer and ask him to explain his work. As I sit alone imagining the conversation we might have, a practical idea replaces my fancy. Why not, in a manner of speaking, invite Mr. Leo Leone, to spend the year in our classroom? He's right here inside these books on the table. We can ask him anything we wish, and if we become persuasive enough, he cannot withhold the answers. Hey, not so fast. What about us? Shout the other hundreds of other books surrounding me. You can't just go off with one author and forget the rest of us. As if I could ever ignore these old favorites, so rich in language and lore. But surely there is merit in concentrating on a single author, if for no other reason than to discover what happens. The shelves of books glare at me in the manner of Cornelius's associates, scorning my radical notion. Even the librarian seems disapproving. But no, she simply wants to close up. Walking home in the dusk, I feel that wings, golden wings, have sprouted, and the journey has begun. Rini has already made me see Tico in a different light, all the more so since I now view him within the context of other Leo Leone characters. For her, Tico is not the martyr I have believed him to be. He is a perceptive friend who values the flock and empathizes with its feelings. These are not simplistic notions. Everyone has a stake in our deliberations. Is it possible for a kindergarten class to pursue such an intensely literary and, yes, long-term intellectual activity, one that demands powers of analysis and introspection expected of much older students? Why not? I've seen 5- and 6-year-olds debate their concerns with as much fervor and insight as could any group of adults. Leo Leone will make the existing intellectual life of the classroom more accessible because he offers us a clear and consistent frame of reference for our feelings and observations. In any case, Rini is far ahead of these academic meanderings of mine. Are you sad about Tico? She asks me as we sit on a playground bench. It's nice of you to ask me, Rini. I wish his friends were more like Frederick's, or like your friends. Frederick told them stories. But you know, Tico might have done that too after a while. Tico looks up at me with her deep brown Leo Leone eyes. You love Tico, she says, then skips off to find her friends. They are like Frederick's friends, most of the time, eager to hear each other's stories, willing to allow one of their own to soar above the clouds. Yet they too can change suddenly and become as jealous as Tico's flock. Last night, Leo Leone came into my dream, Rini informs us at lunch. He looks like Frederick, only not the ears. A Frederick person. So I had a Power Ranger in my dream, Bruce shouts back defensively. Jasmine came in mine, Jenny says, and Corey recalls that the Little Mermaid was in her dream. A wave of resistance ripples around the table. Why should Leo Leone enter Rini's dream? She will not compete. He was a quiet Leo Leone, he was thinking. Next time I'll ask him about Tico. The last is said, looking at me. Who is this Rini girl? How does she know that Tico's dilemma and mine are intertwined and must be resolved? When the children have gone home, Nisha and I discuss my idea of a Leo Leone year. He's always been a mystery to me, she says from the beginning. When I came to this country, I was not very much aware of American authors, and I had read very few. I came upon Leo Leone early, but when someone remarked that he was not for young children, I was confused. I could see the wonderful illustrations, the simple language. I knew it had layers and could go far further than young children could understand, but I didn't see any reason why it was not appropriate for young children. So then did you decide to read Leo Leone to the children? Yes, I did. We grew up in India with stories from the epic Hindu poem, the Ramayana. We called it the Great Epic. It is far more complex than Leo Leone's books, but also deals with real human values. Even before I started school, I knew the stories of Hanuman, whose father is Vaya, god of wind, and his mother a monkey princess. Hanuman is a magical character, a naughty boy, and a great hero, a friend of Rama, the king of that time. Did Leo Leone seem pretty straightforward by comparison? Well, no, there are complex abstractions in both. But I think children need stories like these to bring up their deeper feelings and questions. But how do you feel about the length of time I want to spend on Leo Leone? It's quite a radical notion, you know. I doubt that it's ever been done before at this level. Well, Nisha laughs. You have to understand, Vivian. We heard stories from that great epic every day. This is why they had such an effect on our thinking. I'm certain that the reason Leo Leone seems too abstract to some people and quite frankly continued to puzzle me is that we did not spend enough time with him. One or two books isolated or understood only superficially. But all of his books? Now that would be something. I'm all for it, mainly because I want to see how it can be done. Okay, then we're both starting out with the same goal, to see how it can be done.